Hi everybody. We are going to talk in a few moments with Henri Laaksonen. Henri was born in Finland, now lives in Switzerland. Hi everybody. I'm sorry. We are going to talk in a few moments with Henri Laaksonen. So he is now 137 in ranked ATP. Let's see if we can make connection with him right now. One moment, please. Hi, Henri.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Everything okay? Yes.
Yeah, I finished practice a little while ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You are in Switzerland now.
Actually, I'm in Prague. I'm practicing this week in Czech Republic, and
Okay.
next week I will start some tournaments in Switzerland.
Those tournaments are invitations, exhibitions, right?
It's actually a federation. Swiss federation is organizing those, and tennis clubs in Switzerland. So it's national tournaments. And,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Later we will talk a bit about that. You were born in Finland, and now you live in Switzerland. Could you tell me the difference between those two countries in a few words?
Well, I don't know if it's possible in a few words, but yeah, I grew up in Finland, and yeah, I was practicing there, and yeah, I think on the level I was there in Finland, you don't have so many players, and it's more focused on a couple players trying to get those into the top and really focus for those players. And I think in Switzerland you had always more players, and especially I think juniors have been always very good in Switzerland. And I was also practicing at the federation for 4 or 5 years in Switzerland, and you had a lot of juniors there, some good juniors, and there is more players, and yeah, I think how would I say, maybe it's more strict, more serious, and more
tennis focused.
More tennis focused, and really yeah, trying to, of course they try to do best things as well in Finland and Switzerland, and yeah, maybe more experience as well in Switzerland.
Switzerland has a fantastic tennis story. Of course, that's right. There's Federer, there's Wawrinka, but also there was Martina Hingis, there was Jakob Lasek in earlier times. There was Heinz Gunther. Lots of great players in the history of Switzerland. Right now, you are, we could say, in the shadow of Federer and Wawrinka. Does that bother you? Is that a bit of? Would you be tired of that all the time? Here you are in the shadow of those big players, or it's an inspiring thing?
I don't think it's bad at all for me, and of course Switzerland had always great players. So if I'm ranked 100 or a little over that, then I'm not so interesting player in there, and because they are used to high level, that they have Grand Slam winners there, and yeah, I think for me it's also different because I can play my tournaments and I can practice, let's say, in a calm environment. So I don't have so much stress like they would have. They have, I'm sure they have a lot of media and other
for sure, yes,
work to do, and I don't really have that one. And of course, when I'm playing in Basel or Gstaad, I will have a couple things to do with media or things like that. But it's not
different.
For me, I have more free time, I would say.
Okay. You played all the Grand Slam tournaments as a junior or as a senior. And those tournaments, those 4 tournaments, what is the big difference between those 4 and all the other ones? I understand. First, those tournaments are the most important ones, but I mean in terms of ambience. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you look Grand Slams, and then I have been in Miami and Indian Wells playing the Masters. I was in Shanghai and a couple ATP 500s, and those are also big tournaments, and I think very well organized. And also ATP 250s, they are well organized. But then, of course, they are in Grand Slams. There are much more people. It's more crowded there, and it's just much bigger. The area is bigger. You have so many people, and if you go to the practice courts, and it's just many more people. But for organization, I think it's a really high level from ATP tournaments as well already. And
okay. You sorry.
Yeah, I think for players, of course, I was lucky to have a great year. Last year, I played Australia. I started the year very well, and then I was happy to have really good results on 3 Grand Slams last year.
You played second round Roland Garros last year, and you played Djokovic, Novak Djokovic. Djokovic won 6-1, 6-4, 6-3. What makes that player so special? He seems to be in that good shape at this moment that he seems unbeatable. What's your opinion? How did you feel that?
Well, I remember it was like 15 minutes and it was 5-0 already on the scoreboard, so it wasn't a great feeling. But then I started to feel a little better longer the match went as well, and I saw that I really have to play aggressive, and I was going for my serves and trying to hit the forehand as much as possible and trying to take it early, play aggressive. But I remember in the beginning, the first set, it went really quick, and I didn't really get into his serves. I couldn't bring enough returns in, and he was returning all the serves close to baseline, so I couldn't really do anything. So that's why it's really tricky. And I remember a couple forehands, I thought it's a good shot, and in challengers it would be a winner, and then he hits down the line winner from that. So it's not a great feeling to be on court, and then 5-0. So
yeah. Well, then the second set you came back. It was close.
Yeah, I mean I started to play better. Of course, I still was struggling on his serve. I couldn't put any pressure on him. He was holding really easily, and of course I could hold a couple service games for me to get few more games, but it was always even. And of course it helped when I got a couple positive things on the match, like I hit a couple winners, or I got also more confidence on my game, and some of the winners stayed actually on his side. So then it started to be funnier on the court, but if you lose all the points, it's not that fun. But
of course. Djokovic told the other day, and I heard him say in television, that today there are lots of good players of tennis players, lots of good tennis players. They all have more or less the same level. The difference is the mentality. That's why Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer are so good. Do you agree with that?
I think that's a big thing for sure. They are mentally very strong, and I play a lot of challengers, and also myself, like. I mean, if I look, for example, last year, I started the year very well. I played 6 months very well. I had good results, but then for the last 5 months of the year, I didn't have really any results. I didn't make points, so I think that also makes the difference on the ranking, because those guys they can bring it every week. They have their level, and some challenger players or guys maybe who are 50 to 100, then of course they can play really well from 1 week or a couple of weeks a year, but then those top guys, they can do it every week, and I think that's the big difference there. And of course they have more confidence also when they have I think also they can play on bigger margins. The first matches, they know they can win. They don't need to be at their highest level still on the first round. And then of course they get used to the conditions, and then more confident, and of course then they start to play well.
Yes, that's right. I remember Federer this year in the Australian Open. He had 2 matches really, really close. One of them was against Dennis Sandgren, if I remember good. He was almost losing in tiebreak 4th set, but like a miracle, he won that set. I think that was a mental question, because his opponent was playing very good, and Federer not that good, but it's played the right ball in the right moment, in the big moments, and that makes him so good as well. In these players choosing the right thing at the right moment. No?
Yeah, I think they also have so much experience from those situations, and then, for example, if let's say I would play against them, and then suddenly I would get the chance to be in the tiebreak, then maybe I have a set point or whatever. Then I haven't been in those situations many times, and they play every week on those situations. I think they have the experience on that one. They know exactly what to do, and
I agree.
Of course, it's not the excuse, but
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Experience, and then maybe me, I would do a bad decision on an important point, but they know exactly what to do on there. So I think that helps.
Of course, I'm sure. Did you suffer coronavirus a lot? I mean, you've been like everybody, I think, 2 months without playing.
Actually, I have been in a lucky situation, because everyone was in India whilst I was there as well, and then we had to fly back to Europe. I flew back to Finland, and I was pretty lucky there, because they had some tennis halls open, and I had little problems with my body. So for me, actually, this break wasn't a bad timing.
A good break. Yeah.
If I can play, or if I should play. So I have been able to practice for the last 3 months. And
you had a problem. You had a muscle problem, an injury.
Yeah, I had injury. I had problems with my hips, and then also the hips got better. So then the next problem, I got the tennis elbow, and that has been taking also some time. But now for the last, I have been able to practice, and I was really lucky, in a lucky situation that they kept the tennis halls open in Finland. So I'm
okay. But right now you are okay. Physically, you are okay.
Yeah, now it's much better. I mean, I have 3 months fitness and tennis practices.
Okay. I read a strange thing about you. Your favorite meal was in those days sea fish, but in those days you as well was you were bad. Your health was bad. You didn't feel okay playing tennis, and then doctors found out that the cause was the sea fish. You loved so much, and you seem to have an allergy to sea fish. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah. I really enjoyed cooking like salmon steaks for me. And then I had it started actually. I had really good off season on 2017 behind me, and
Yes.
then I was feeling good, confident to start 2018, and then yeah, it was kind of weird because then I played matches and I just didn't recover. I played 1 hour or 1.5 hour match, and I was for the next 5 days I had muscle pain, and I just didn't recover. And actually, long as it went in March, April, it was getting even worse. And also that time I was still eating seafood, and yeah, I started to get. Yeah, I got muscle pain from normal 1 hour practice. I just didn't recover. I needed like 2-3 days to recover, and then when it was bad, like May, June, I started to get fever. I remember a tournament in France. I had a dinner. I ate some seafood on Sunday. Then I had a doubles match on Monday, and then suddenly I started to feel bad. I checked my fever. I had a fever in the evening, and then yeah, in the morning I had still little temperature, but then I still played the match. But it was a difficult time because I didn't really know from what it's coming, and
Of course.
I just didn't. I had to find some solutions because for 2 weeks I was feeling good, and then suddenly out of nowhere, like no warnings, anything, I just didn't recover anymore, and or I got fever, and yeah, for
So no more seafood.
And for 2 years I haven't been eating any seafood, and I don't have those problems anymore. So
it's a pity. It's a pity because I love it. I love the seafood.
yeah, it's very good, but I still prefer to feel good than eat something good.
Okay. How is your day normally? You wake up in the morning, you have breakfast, and then what do you do regularly? So Monday to Friday.
Well, usually I wake up pretty early, and I mean I was in Finland. I was waking up at 7. I started practice at 10, but I'm really slow in the morning, so I ate like 1.5 hour breakfast, and then I would go to the tennis courts. I start to warm up there, maybe 45 minutes, 60 minutes, and then I would play 2-3 hours. Then I mean all the restaurants were closed, so I went back home, did some lunch, and then in the afternoon I would go back to the tennis courts to do some fitness after, and then I would go back at, I don't know, between 5 and 7 in the afternoon, evening, and then eating dinner and yeah, relaxing. But basically every day for the last 2.5-3 months I was doing that kind of program for practicing a lot, and yeah, I was lucky.
So yeah, right now you practice in the morning and you practice in the afternoon. So now you train in the morning and in the afternoon as well.
Actually, I usually practice once a day, but I do a little longer, so then I have more time to do fitness. Okay. Afternoon, in case I want to do 2 practices, then I still would keep the same hours in the morning, but then I would change the fitness to tennis. So
okay, last year, as you said, you had a good year. You were into the first 100 of the ATP ranking. Right now, you are 137. You are 28 years old right now. What goals do you have in the future for tennis?
Well, I mean,
what do you want to achieve?
Sorry?
What do you want to achieve in tennis these coming years?
I mean, for sure, my goal was always to get into top 100, and then I reached it for the first time in 2017, and then I dropped out from there, and then I got in there again. So my goal is always to stay in top 100 for longer than a couple weeks, and yeah, that's my big goal. And then once I achieve that one, then next goal is of course to be top 50. And
okay,
yeah,
it's all about rankings, isn't it? In a pro tennis player, it's all about rankings. Why is it so important, the ranking in tennis?
I think that tells how good the player is during the last 12 months. I mean, that's the only way to really say how good the player is. Of course, everyone can play, but then that's the thing, you can play 1 week really good, but then if you have the next 50 weeks bad, so then you are maybe
and of course
100.
Yeah.
You don't.
And it gives you access to several big tournaments, right? You could be a seeded player in some tournaments, so it has lots of advantages. No, a good rank.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is if you are top 100, because then you are in Grand Slams in main draw, and there is everyone knows there is a lot of prize money already on the first round, so that's a huge thing for a player. If you are, let's say, you are 4 times main draw in a Grand Slam, then basically your expenses for the year are covered already. So that's a huge gap if you are 120 or let's say 90. That's a huge gap, and helps already for the whole year, for the planning, because you know a little bit that you will have the money to travel and pay your expenses, and then if you're one, you have to always qualify, and you are bending a little bit on the results on Grand Slams, because that's the fact, you earn the most on Grand Slams, and they are just very important tournaments for players who are in qualies or close to 100.
Okay. How was you played in March in Peru? You played Davis Cup 3 months ago. Wawrinka and Federer weren't there, so you were the number one of your team. How was playing Davis Cup in Peru?
Well, it was actually for the first time in South America for me, and it was a bit tricky, and because I was coming from hard courts, and then I was planning to play Indian Wells after, and we played in Peru. We played on clay, so we didn't have a long preparation on clay, and but sometimes the schedule is like that, and I was not in the best shape that time with my body, and my game wasn't so good, so I still to win the first match, and then I had a long match on the next day. I lost that 1-7-6 in the third, but we lost.
How was the crowd?
Sorry?
How was the crowd?
We could say that they wanted the Peruvian, they win the match. And, sometimes it was getting loud there, and we got booed sometimes when we were complaining to the umpires. So they let us know that we shouldn't do that. So, but it was fine. Actually, it was nice to play there. It was a nice atmosphere, and of course it was sometimes loud, but that's always in Davis Cups.
That's right. Okay. In Basilea, in Basel, last year in October, you had a great win over Benoit Paire. You won 6-3, 7-5, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Maybe it was one of your biggest wins.
Yeah, for sure. And it was nice to play. I was able to play on the center court, and they had a lot of spectators there watching, and of course supporting me. And I think the conditions, it's indoor tournament, conditions are pretty fast, and I was serving well, and I was playing aggressive, so it's a matter of a couple of points actually. So I was able to hold my serves, and then I tried to return aggressive, and it's just a couple points in the fast conditions there.
Do you think, like me, that Benoit Paire, like Nick Kyrgios and other people like them, they are so very talented, but at the same time, something in their heads tells them that they don't want to be disciplined all the time. They have their own life, their own rules in their in their head. They throw rackets, they behave bad, but at the same time, they do fantastic things on a tennis court. Could that be the reason they won't be never top 10?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Marat Safin was also throwing a lot of.
You're right.
He won Grand Slams, and yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it's, of course, bad behavior. It doesn't help, and yeah, but I don't know if it's only about that one. But I think it also comes to that one that you have to be on those 12 months. You have to be on a high level, and I think some of the players then they are really talented, but then maybe they have some injuries, so they can play, let's say, 6 months well in a year, and then they cannot play for 3-4 months. So it's a huge advantage for the other players to get points against them. So yeah, I mean,
okay.
I don't know what else to say about.
It's difficult. It's a difficult question. I understand that. As a junior player, you were one of the best in the world. You reached semi-final at Roland Garros as a junior. You were a champion of Europe under 16. That's true, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember. I was playing really well, and and European Championships, for example, I was playing really well some matches there, and especially the final. I remember I was playing, everything worked. I was in a flow, and it didn't matter what I do. I didn't do really mistakes, and yeah, I was playing really well that time.
Then your way to today. Since then, your journey that makes us right here today was not quickly, but little by little, growing up. Right now, you're at almost at 180p. I think if you continue the last three years, especially 17 and 19, especially your greatest years, if you can continue that line, I think you can achieve that goal that is top 100 or top 50. Besides your 28 years old, that age is the best age of a tennis player, I think, right now. So maybe your goals are good goals to achieve. I think even you could do better, if you ask me.
Well, I mean, yeah, like every tennis player, they can play the game well, but I think also you have to get lucky, and yeah, I think for me the biggest issue has been that I'm not able to do the 12 months in a year to do the results. For example, last year I was in a good run for the first 6 months. I was doing a lot of points. My ranking looked good that time, but then if you lose for 4 or 5 months, then the ranking and I think important is just to get the really good full 12 months in order to achieve a high ranking. And
if you write in Google Henri Laaksonen, everybody says you are a very hard worker. That means a hard worker in tennis. You train hard. You are very disciplined. So really to improve your level and grow a bit more, it's just that being more regular, or are there more things you think you could improve?
I mean, I think that's a big issue for me, that I have some up and downs, and when I don't have those ones that I can bring, if I have a bad day, that I have a certain level still that I can compete against, because every tennis player, they have a bad day, so you still have to be able to win that match, and then maybe next day on the next round you are playing again on your higher level. But I think those ones, when you have a bad day, whatever you have some problems with your body, but you are still able to win and turn that match. I think that's the most important, and yeah, and that's why I try to work hard. That I would be in a bad day, I would have a certain level. I can always go back to that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I understand that perfectly. Let's go back to the Pro Cup in Switzerland. We talked at the beginning of this talk. We talked a bit about that in July. You will play there. It's organized by the Swiss federations. Sets of 4 games, right? Just like in Belgrado, these days was a tournament, a similar tournament. You are the great attraction of that tournament. You are the best player of the tournament. What is there to win for you? What is the attraction of the tournament?
I mean, I think every player, once they enter the court or they play a match, they still try to win the match, and of course, I mean, to get some confidence, or whatever kind of match it is, you try to do your best there, and every athlete tries to win the match. So I think it also shows for me where I am, because I haven't been playing now for 3 months,